What's up guys, welcome to Keeping It Real. My name is Sam and I've set up this YouTube channel as a platform for me to upload any film reviews, any short films I'm going to be making, as well as some more theoretical based discussions around film related topics. Now, a film review channel is something I've always wanted to do, and with the release of Tenet this summer and what that's going to mean for the film industry and the cinema industry in terms of distribution, I thought there's no better time really, and what better way to start than with the release of summer 2020's only real blockbuster. So I'm going to dive right in. It's pretty much a convention of Christopher Nolan's films at this point, that they all deal with the idea of the temporal to some extent. You know, whether that's like Inception, where time's presented as this psychological prison, or as a kind of structural storytelling technique like it's used in Memento and Dunkirk, or like in Interstellar where it's presented as a physical, tangible dimension. And in that regard, Tenet feels most like Interstellar, because time is depicted as a very concrete reality, something that can be inverted and manipulated. First impressions of the film. Liked it, it's good. I didn't love it, but let's start with the positives. Now, in all of Nolan's films, I love how he creates this dichotomy between very high concept plots that border on being, science fiction, futuristic, while simultaneously giving them a very real world feel, and that is all down to the visuals. He creates this sort of visual symmetry across all of his work, with a very dark, kind of brooding colour palette that sets the tone for a very mature and serious watch. And this helps to bring this kind of aesthetic realism to the film that comes from his love of filming practical effects. Knowing that all the inverted fight sequences, car chases, explosions were all filmed in camera adds an authenticity to the world he's trying to build. And that is particularly commendable with the amount of action that Tenet has, and it really goes a long way to show how Christopher Nolan has graduated as an action director. You know, it makes me think of that final fight between Batman and Bane in The Dark Knight Rises, which just felt kind of lackluster and a bit tame, but Tenet goes a long way to remedy that. The opening set piece is well paced, edited and choreographed. There's a kitchen fight sequence that uses a cheese grater to phenomenal effect, a highway chase that has an astronomical amount of moving parts, and a yacht sailing scene that feels very immersive. I think the final action sequence could have been exploited a bit more in terms of visual flair, but overall the action is really solid in this film, and it contributes to the fast pace, and 2.5 hours does just fly by. This is definitely Nolan's most complex film. And that isn't a bad thing in and of itself, but just the way the story unravels feels kind of messy and convoluted. And so these scenes that are supposed to come across as revelatory or jaw-dropping, they just feel like moments of temporary relief where you can kind of sit back and reevaluate your own understanding of the film.
Well, we'll try and keep up.
Now, I don't think Tenet has that narrative confidence that you'd find in Dunkirk, nor do I think it has the character development present in Inception and Interstellar, which were both high concept films like Tenet, but they were grounded in protagonists who had very human flaws and very human motives. Now, whereas Tenet is an espionage film, it makes sense that characters remain anonymous and mysterious, and it's even explained in a scene where it's revealed that characters aren't allowed to divulge any personal information, that might compromise them as agents. And that makes sense. From a narrative level, that makes sense. And that would be okay if the plot was more accessible. But instead we've got characters who we aren't able to emotionally resonate with, and a plot that we're constantly kept out of the loop with as well. So we don't really have that stable anchor that we use to infiltrate the film and sort of follow through. Now, Nolan's solution to this is introducing Elizabeth Debicki's character, Kat, who suspiciously plays a character remarkably similar to the one she played in The Night Manager. This abused wife, this overprotective mother trying to break free from a global arms dealer. And she gives a brilliant performance. She balances this kind of raw desperation with this nuanced resilience, as she functions as this sort of mediator between Kenneth Branagh's villain and John David Washington's hero. The problem is she doesn't really get her own autonomy because of that. While it adds to the idea of her entrapment between these two very patriarchal worlds, she never gains that agency as a character that enables her to be the emotional crux of the story. Criticisms aside though, there's a lot to love here. It's got Nolan's trademark originality all over it. It's big, it's smart, it is 100% worth watching on the big screen, guys. Nolan has taken a massive risk and probably a major loss of profits by releasing this film in a post-COVID world. So I would encourage everyone to sort of do what they can and invest in a film ticket if possible. It's got a great soundtrack. The one thing I would say about that can be summarised in this YouTube comment here. Couldn't agree more. It's got great action sequences, and the only real downfall is that there's sort of a kind of two-dimensional character dynamic that otherwise undermines a very ambitious story. Thanks for watching. This is my first video, so a like and a subscribe would go a long way and be a real vote of confidence. But thank you for tuning in, and I should hopefully have more content up and running soon. Thank you.
Horrible.